From the BzG studio in the Mission Dolores district, right in the heart of San Francisco, it's BzG News with Barrett Courtney.
Thank you so much all the way up here. Thank you so much all the way down here. And thank you so much right here. What's up, everybody? My name is Barrett Courtney, and this is BzG News, your last resort for all of the crazy, fucked up, nerdy news that's going on around the interwebs. Before we get into the news and whatnot, not a lot of news pieces this week, but before we get into them, I just want to talk about two quick little things. First, the debate. The first presidential debate for 2016 happened between Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump. And the entire time I was watching this, I just thought to myself, God damn it. How did we get ourselves into this mess of having two very not good candidates? And that's not a very well-educated, well-rounded view of how they are in quality for being a president. But that's just sort of how I felt after watching that debate. I felt dumber. I felt like a dumb person after watching that debate on both sides too. A lot of people say that Hillary Clinton totally destroyed Trump in that debate, but as you can see, if you do even a little research, Trump's polling went up a little bit after that debate. So again, we should still be a little concerned. Again, it's sort of we're caught in another year of let's pick the lesser of two evils, and so let's not give fucking nuclear missile codes to a fucking crazy guy who's gonna go at one point go on to national television if he's a president and say fuck Russia, let's fucking Putin's a bitch, and that causes Putin to strike nuclear warheads to us. Let's not do that. Let's not have that situation be possible. So that's my takeaway from the debate that just happened earlier this week. And also, before we get into the news, I just want to talk about my new show, The B-List, that debuted very early this month, where I talked about SLC Punk, a movie that not a lot of people really knew about, and I wanted to talk about why you should maybe watch that movie and the great message it has, and yada yada yada. That's sort of what the show is about. Going back, looking at things that people might not have absolutely hated, but thought wasn't super great. And I go back and explain oh no, this possibly might be worth your time to check out again. So second episode coming out tomorrow at 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. So if you've been waiting, if you've been wondering, Barrett, where's that SLC, or where's that B-List, where's that new B-List episode? It's coming out tomorrow. It's a good one. So be sure to come back here to youtube.com/BetaZonaGamers and check that shit out. It's really fun. And with that being said, let's get into the nerdy news that you need to fucking care about. So for those who didn't know, there was a Nintendo 64 emulator app that went up on the Xbox One marketplace that would let you play some of the system's classics like Mario Kart and Donkey Kong 64. The emulator was hidden in the Microsoft Store since it was not Microsoft approved, but you could look up the app name if you knew the name of it and then it would pop up. Since the app got big over the last week, Microsoft has stepped in and taken the app off of the store. Although it may not be available anymore, those who have the app already downloaded can still use it. This is an interesting piece of news that I wanted to bring up, and I think it's a little concerning. It's fun, but it's concerning. It's fun because, it's cute. It's a little Nintendo emulator app where you can play classics. Donkey Kong 64 is fucking rad. Best game of all time. Best game of the year every year. But then it's also a little concerning, They were able to get this emulator app without the approval of Microsoft. Let's go to the other side of the gaming console sphere, Sony. To get any game onto the PlayStation Network, you have to have it certified to even be considered to go up on the PlayStation Network. So these people were able to find a loophole for Microsoft, at least, where they didn't have to do that. And Microsoft finally caught wind of it, finally took it down, but it took them a while. I'm surprised that was not taken down in the first 12 hours of its existence. Granted, it did take a little couple days for people to really know about it and for it to like blow up and be this huge thing. But you think that Microsoft would have some sort of detection, be like, oh, something went through our system without our approval, let's get that down. And so I think it's a little concerning because it might inspire, you know, a little more cute little emulations, maybe like a Sega emulation thing. But I think it also possibly encourages like people who, you know, likes to fuck with Sony back in the day and cause like the great PlayStation Network outage that we all know about that happened in 2011, I think. It encourages people like that to like go into whatever loophole that those people who put up that app to go through there and see what else they can fuck around with Microsoft. So hopefully Microsoft is looking into like how these people were able to get through their system to be able to get this app up without them knowing. So hopefully Microsoft's looking into that so Microsoft doesn't have to deal with more crazy shit like, you know, emulators that, you know, it's not the biggest concern. It shouldn't be the biggest concern of theirs because the biggest thing is like copyright issues, and that's why they took the Nintendo app down. But the bigger concern they should have is other people going into that loophole, seeing what else they can fuck around with to maybe fuck with like the Microsoft network there, because we don't want. And even though, you know, I turned over to I've been jumping back and forth between the systems, right? I had a PlayStation 2, and then I had a 360, and then I had a PS4. You know, and I don't want any system to deal with what PlayStation 3 had to deal with back in 2011. So let's try not to have that happen to anybody, no matter how just okay Xbox One is doing. Now back to a continuing story that has been developing for some time now. Ubisoft has recently stated that they are buying back 3.5 million shares from BPI France, which is about 3.2% stake of the company. Ubisoft is taking advantage of their buyback program in fear of the French conglomerate Vivendi taking over the company when they bought about 20% of shares back in June. GameSpot recently had an interview with Ubisoft CEO I don't know how to say that first name. I'm very sorry. Yves Guillemot, where he addressed the company's fears, saying, quote, creativity, agility, and risk-taking is intrinsic to our industry, he said. If you are independent, you know the level you can go to. But if you're part of a conglomerate that doesn't understand what your industry is, how fast it's moving, or the decisions you have to make at speed, they can limit your possibilities. Then automatically you can't create new experiences that are coming out of nowhere. Sometimes when you take risks, it doesn't work, and you have to cancel a project because you thought the business was going in one direction, but it didn't. When the management allows that, you aren't blamed for not succeeding. Your management says, okay, we learned this and that, and we can use that on this new opportunity. When you're in an organization that's less risk-taking, you don't do that. And then when you don't take risks, you don't get rewards. Yes, companies merging is normally not a problem, but in our industry, which is changing a lot of the time, it's actually risky, unquote. So this is very concerning for Ubisoft. You can think what you want about Ubisoft. You can say, Assassin's Creed comes out every year and it's never fucking risk-taking and blah, 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 blah. But you know what? They were risk-taking with Assassin's Creed when Assassin's Creed was first a thing before it became this yearly franchise, where the first one, it was okay. And the second one came out and they saw, you know, that the first one was not critically loved. It didn't do commercially fucking gangbusters, but they took the risk of keep going with that franchise, right? They looked at the numbers and they believed in what they had and they kept trying to push it. And lo and behold, they came out with Assassin's Creed 2, which everybody really fucking enjoyed. So when you're part of a conglomerate who isn't, their main focus isn't on video games, you know, Vivendi, I'm not too sure exactly what else they do, but from what my understanding is, they focus on all different types of media. So if video game isn't their main focus, they might not understand what the video game industry is like and what needs to happen to have what Guillemot says here, where when you take risks and it works out, you get rewarded so well. You know, South Park, The Stick of Truth is a great example of that. They bought the South Park game rights from the whole Oh shit! Who was it? Neversoft, I believe. When Neversoft sort of crumbled and had to sell all of its properties, they bought that. They knew it was a risk. They knew that this game was being worked on for so long. They took it and they experimented with it, and they came out with a fucking awesome game that's getting a sequel early next year. So you take risks like that and you get really rewarded really well. So it is concerning when a conglomerate comes in that might not understand that and might just look at regular numbers like they look at Assassin's Creed and they say, no, we don't like what you're doing with Assassin's Creed now, where you're not going to make it a yearly franchise anymore and you're going to try to like develop it into more than what people know it as, right? We want you to come out with an Assassin's Creed game every single year. We don't give a shit what people think. It makes money, so do it. So Vivendi might backtrack Ubisoft in that sort of aspect. So it is a little concerning. And then you have Yuba Art, where, you know, Yuba Art games are critically loved all the time, but they don't sell gangbusters. So Vivendi might look at that and be like, no, these aren't worth it. Get these developers out of here, or join them with other developing teams, have them help on more important franchises. So it is a little concerning about this possible takeover Ubisoft is dealing with right now. But hopefully Ubisoft can push Vivendi back in the meantime so they can stay the company that we all love. Maybe not love, but we all appreciate. Quick piece of news here. If you've pre-ordered Call of Duty Infinite Warfare, well, you'll be able to check out the game before launch, since there will be 2 full weekends where the game will have a beta test. The first weekend, October 14th through the 17th, will be available only on PS4. The second weekend, October 21st to the 24th, the beta will be available for PS4 and Xbox One. As of now, there's no beta available for PC. This is a little weird. I would say that the beta is only available for people who have pre-ordered Call of Duty, right? So people who've pre-ordered Call of Duty are already in. They already know what they're in for. They're already convinced, right? For beta tests, for me at least, it should be an opportunity people take to open your beta test to everybody and to say like, hey, check this free little piece of thing out. It might convince you to hop onto this game, possibly. Like, if they did a beta test for everybody, it might convince more people to pre-order the game or buy the game at launch or buy the game just eventually, right? So I think it's a little weird that they're closing in the beta test just for people who have pre-owned the game. I sort of get it. You want to reward the people who have pre-owned the game, but you're rewarding them in a way that's like, we're going to convince you even more why you pre-ordered the game. And I don't think they really need that, right? Like, if you want to reward the pre-orders, you reward them with like more shit at launch, right? You reward them with like, oh, you get a new map maybe or whatnot. So I think it's a little weird, because I would love to check out the beta. I'm not going to pre-order Infinite Warfare. I have voiced that I'm interested in the game. I'm usually not interested in Call of Duty games, but this one does seem like a sort of a new step into like an interesting direction, right? They're going into space and you can fucking fight in space. That's really fucking cool. And you'll be able to have like sort of what it seems to me, at least from the trailers, like dogfights and fucking space battles and shit, and then go on to like a fucking space freighter and go inside and take it out and whatnot. That shit seems cool. So that's why I'm interested. I would have liked to check that out, see and feel the gameplay mechanics myself to convince me to either get the game or not. But I won't be able to really check that out until Infinite Warfare comes out in November, late October. I should have wrote that down here. I don't know, somewhere around there. I'm sure I'll get it. I'm sure I'll review it at one point. So there you go. If you've been waiting for any updates on the upcoming 3D platformer Ukulele, well, Playtonic, the developer of the game, which was formed by former Rare employees who worked on games like Banjo-Kazooie and Donkey Kong 64, have released a new trailer showing off all the game's characters and a special guest, which is Shovel Knight. It has not been elaborated how much involvement the beloved knight will have when you come across him, but he does at least cameo in the game. Ukulele was originally announced for Q4 2016, but was delayed earlier this year to Q1 2017. I think this is really cool. Again, everything they're saying about Ukulele is just like, yes, 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 they're nailing this. They're really trying to bring back these sort of 3D platform era games, like Donkey Kong 64, like Banjo-Kazooie. And that makes sense. These are the minds behind those games. So, they're doing what they do great and fantastically. So I'm excited. I think it's awesome that they're... And it's very fitting to have Shovel Knight be this character. It would have been very easy, or maybe not, to try to get Banjo-Kazooie in there, or maybe hit up Nintendo and try to have Donkey Kong in there, or something else, right? But I think it's very fitting for Shovel Knight to be in there, because Shovel Knight is an homage to great 16-bit 2D platformer games, and Ukulele is trying to be a great homage to great 3D platformers. So I think it's cool that those two worlds are sort of combining, and sort of the meta joke of hey, we're these developers trying to revitalize these types of games. So I think it's really cool. I'm really excited for Ukulele. It is easily one of my most anticipated games for 2017 specifically. So I can't wait. Q1 2017 cannot come soon enough. Ladies and gentlemen, that was all of the news that we had for this week. Again, not a lot of news. But before we go, remember, I have a segment at the end of every show called Don't Forget, where I talk about all the upcoming video games, movies, comic books, music, whatever the fuck I really want to feel like talking about. No games coming out this week at all to really talk about. So we're just going to jump into some movies. Masterminds, currently, while I'm recording this, does not have a score on Rotten Tomatoes. Masterminds seems to be this goofy comedy with Zach Galifianakis and other people, and it seems like a very average comedy where it's going to be a lot of improving and whatever. So it looks like a very forgettable comedy movie. This is one of those, it just screams, it's like the epitome of just very lackluster comedies, I feel like, that have come out in the last couple of years. So I actually recommend to not support those kind of movies, because we need good comedies again, and that is just, don't support that kind of bullshit. Then we also have Deepwater Horizon, starring my boy Marky Mark, currently an 89% on Rotten Tomatoes. Very surprising. I remember when I saw the sort of the teaser trailer for Deepwater Horizon, where the kid, Marky Mark's kid in the movie is yo, I'm doing a science experiment, and it's jumping back and forth between the science experiment sort of fizzing up and sort of exploding, and then Marky Mark's job where they're taking out oil and that shit exploding. It looked interesting. I didn't think it was going to get sort of praise at this point. I did not expect that. So if you're looking for a good movie, Deepwater Horizon might be for you. And the last thing that came out today, you can go check it out after you watch this video, is Netflix Marvel's Luke Cage. That's out today, the highly anticipated Luke Cage that is part of the Defenders sort of Marvel-verse, Marvel on-screen cinema, MCU bullshit that's part of the Netflix series, right? They're leading up to the Defenders. Started with Daredevil, and then Jessica Jones, and now they're on Luke Cage, and I believe Iron Fist is coming next year. I think early next year, but I could be wrong about that. And then after they do Iron Fist, then they're going to do a Defenders show where they bring all four characters together, which I think is really cool. I've really liked the trailers for Luke Cage so far. I'm sure by the time you guys are watching this, I am neck deep in Luke Cage right now, so I'm very excited. It has gotten a lot of really good previews so far. A lot of people who were able to check out the first couple episodes before the series finally premiered said that they really enjoyed it. So if you're looking for a great sort of binge-worthy show that has great fucking soundtracks, because in every trailer they just bring out a really great hip-hop track that just fits so well with the sort of it is a nice juxtaposition of not that serious sort of hip hop, and then the sort of serious themed show where Luke Cage is fucking kicking everybody's ass. It's really cool, and it seems to have a really fun cast. It seems the antagonist for the show, I forget his real name. I don't know the actor's name. I don't know the character in the show's real name, but his nickname is Cottonmouth. The actor is from another Netflix show that you may know, which is called House of Cards. And I forget, I think his name is Remy in that show, and I really like that actor, so he's going to play the villain this time around, and I think that's really dope. So, Luke Cage, check that shit out. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, this has been BzG News. Remember, it is your last resort for all the crazy, fucked up, nerdy news that's going around on the interwebs. Remember, it is posting every Friday at 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time right here on youtube.com/BeaZonaGamers. I hope to see you guys next week for some more nerdy news, I guess. This wasn't a lot to talk about this week. I apologize for that. So hopefully next week there will be a fucking plethora of fucking nerdy news to talk about. But until then, fucking stay nerdy. Thank you so much. Thank you all the way over there. Please check out Luke Cage. Please explain to me how someone was able to get a Nintendo 64 app on the Xbox store. Please have a good one.